This delivery man was delivering a meal and saw a police uniform hanging in the customer's house. He couldn't help but take a closer look. Li Ming, who received the meal, was puzzled when there was a knock on the door again. It turned out that the delivery man didn't leave. Instead, he asked Li Ming, "Are you a police officer?" So he told the police a story. For the past 3 months, he has been in the early hours of every Thursday morning, would receive orders from the same address, and the girl smiled and wore a cartoon mask every time, although he was the one who took the order every time. But the two never said a word. However, just last night or Thursday, the girl ordered ahead of time. Sensing the bad Mabwa rushed to the girl's home, knocked on the door but there was no movement. He leaned over the door and was relieved to hear a voice inside. But when he opened the door, there was no smile on the girl's face. On the contrary, some panic. Received the meal when the girl in his hand pinched A. Halfway down the road, Mabwa realized this may be the girl issued a distress signal, so he immediately turned around back to the girl's door. But he knocked for half a day, but there was no movement. This affected the neighbors. He reprimanded the delivery man. "What are you doing in the middle of the night?" Mab replied that I was delivering food. The man asked where the food was. He replied, "I've already delivered it." "Who are you kidding? No one lives here." Mabwa panicked and said, "I've really delivered it. I've been delivering it for months." The neighbor said, "If you don't stop talking nonsense, I'm going to call the police." The neighbor's words reminded Mabo that he rushed to call the police. The property owner said a girl did live here, but she died in a car accident 6 months ago. The police also found the girl's death certificate. Mabwa found it unbelievable. He came to deliver food every Thursday himself in these months, and handed the delivery order to the police. The police asked who else had seen the girl besides you. To report a crime, you must first have a victim, right? Where is the victim? Mabwa was sure that he didn't have any mental problems. In order to prove that he hadn't lied, he hoped that Li Ming could help him. Li Ming was very interested in this kind of bizarre incident, so he called his companions to go and find out. They got the key from the property. They found that the door lock had no signs of being picked, but there seemed to be no signs of life here. Angie, however, found traces of use in the refrigerator. Lucy also found it in the computer usage logs. This computer had been used since the girl's death. Someone's been using it since 7 days. Lucy was horrified that the dead had come back to life. Seeing that the atmosphere in the room was a bit tense, Lucy had to joke to ease the atmosphere. Through the investigation, they determined that the house had been inhabited. But for what reason? The occupants had to hide their lives. They went to Mary's house and took a sample of Mary's father's hair. Through genetic matching, the hair did not belong to Mary, and learned that she never wore face masks. They returned to Mary's home again. Sure enough, they found a cartoon mask and extracted half a fingerprint on it. From this point, it was clear that Mabwa had not lied. In order to get more clues, Li Ming visited the neighbors. She was very sure that the girl next door was still alive, because just a few days ago, she had a hypoglycemic attack. She ran into the neighbor girl answering the door. The girl took out candy from and stuffed it into her mouth. Li Ming took out Mary's photo for her to confirm, but the neighbor said she wore a mask that day. From the existing clues, we can deduce that this house, there is indeed a girl similar to Mary living. The only clue is the half fingerprint. Through the public security system to compare the fingerprints, we found out the masked girl's name is Lisa. According to the report record, 4 years ago Lisa and her father had a conflict and ran away from home. Then she returned home and dropped the case. The police went to Lisa's house to find out what happened. What's surprising is that the daughter is missing. The father didn't seem worried, because Lisa is often not at home. She thinks her daughter is out of the country on vacation. And the stepmother said that her daughter could stay away for years as long as the money was there. They took a sample. According to the comparison, the hair belonged to Lisa, but the person disappeared. In order to find the missing Lisa, the police brought in a police dog. They hoped to find through the used mask. Just when the police dog came to a grassy field, the smell was lost. They found traces left by a car. Li Ming saw that this kind of tire tracks are not rare, and he just happened to have seen this car not long ago. Angie said it was at Lisa's house. At this time Lisa has been missing for 12 hours, but her family has never asked the police about the news of their daughter's disappearance. Their calmness aroused suspicion. They went back to Lisa's house and observed that the car and the tire tracks didn't match. There was no sign of a tire change. Facing the police again, Lisa's father was very calm, but her stepmother was a little nervous. Lisa's father's cell phone rang, but he hung up for harassment calls. Who knows, not a moment phone rang again. The captain picked up the phone and signaled for him to answer it. Seeing that he could not avoid it, he also had to answer the phone, but did not say a few words and then hurriedly hung up. From his expression, Angie judged, just now was not a nuisance phone call, but about his daughter's news.